Welcome to my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow more amazing content. The story begins on a chilly autumn afternoon when Jessica and Matthew, two young police officers working in a small town, noticed something strange. Both were patrolling the neighborhood when they saw a little girl, around 5 years old, with curly hair and big, round black eyes, quietly following them. At first, they thought she was just a curious child, interested in watching the police at work. But day after day, they saw that small figure, Jennifer, the name of the girl, always kept her distance, but her eyes seemed to be pleading, as if she wanted to say something that she couldn't bring herself to voice. Jessica and Matthew began to feel curious. They decided to approach the girl. They smiled, gently asked her questions. But Jennifer just stood silently, her eyes filled with tears. She didn't speak, didn't respond, just stared at them. There seemed to be something big behind those eyes, something that Jessica and Matthew couldn't ignore. After some time, they found out that Jennifer lived with a man in an old, rundown house at the end of the street. According to the neighbors, that man rarely communicated with anyone and seemed very strict with the girl. Matthew realized that something was wrong and decided to talk to Jessica about investigating Jennifer's situation further. Jessica and Matthew began gathering information from the neighbors around Jennifer's house. They listened to stories about the strange man. He almost never left the house, and the rare times he did, it was late at night when the neighborhood was quiet. Some neighbors mentioned hearing screams and cries from the house, but no one dared to do anything. Those signs made Jessica and Matthew more determined to uncover the truth. Jessica and Matthew decided to learn more about Jennifer's background. They contacted local schools, trying to determine if she was enrolled anywhere. They also checked missing person reports from the past few years to see if Jennifer might be one of the missing children. After days of investigation, they found a missing person report from 3 years ago about a girl named Jennifer, whose description matched the girl they had met. The report was filed by a woman named Linda, Jennifer's mother, who had died in a horrific car accident. Linda, Jennifer's mother, died in an accident while driving Jennifer to school. The accident killed Linda instantly, and Jennifer went missing afterward. No one knew what had happened to the girl until Jessica and Matthew started piecing the events together. They discovered that, after the accident, Jennifer was taken by a strange man, and since then, she had been kept in the old house at the end of the street. Jessica and Matthew were furious to learn that Jennifer had endured years in such a situation. The man who had abducted Jennifer not only treated her poorly, but also tried to isolate her from the outside world. She wasn't allowed to go to school or play like other children and seemed to be confined to the house. The bruises on Jennifer's small arms spoke volumes. She had endured beatings and emotional abuse from the man. Jessica felt her heart tighten seeing the evidence. She remembered Jennifer's eyes, filled with fear and desperation when she looked at them. There was no doubt they had to do something to help her. Matthew felt the same way. He remembered every time Jennifer had followed them, and he knew she trusted them. That trust was the motivation that drove them to act. Jessica and Matthew began to learn more about the man keeping Jennifer. They found out his name was Robert, a man with a troubled past. Robert once had a family, but after losing his wife and child in a fire, he became depressed and withdrew from society. It seemed that, after losing his family, Robert sought a replacement, and that's when he found Jennifer. But instead of caring for her as a child, he became an oppressor, taking out all his pain and resentment on her. Jessica and Matthew decided to obtain a search warrant and work with authorities to rescue Jennifer. Early one morning, when the mist still hung in the air, they and their team raided the house. They found Jennifer huddled in a corner, tears streaming down her face. The room was dark and filthy, with only an old bed and a few broken toys. When she saw them, the girl burst into tears, running into Jessica's arms. She trembled, clinging tightly to Jessica as if afraid that, if she let go, she would lose her only hope. After getting Jennifer out of the house, Jessica and Matthew took her to the hospital for a health check. Doctors found that Jennifer was malnourished and had many old wounds that hadn't healed. This made Jessica and Matthew even more heartbroken. They were determined to give her a better life, a life she deserved. With the help of social workers, Jessica and Matthew took Jennifer to a safe place. They searched for her remaining family members, and soon they found Jennifer's aunt. Jennifer's aunt, Margaret, had never stopped looking for her niece for the past 3 years. When she received the news from Jessica and Matthew, she burst into tears, unable to believe that she had finally found Jennifer. The reunion day was full of tears, but they were tears of happiness and hope. Jennifer, though still fearful and unable to fully trust those around her, seemed to feel a bit of safety when she saw her aunt. Margaret hugged Jennifer tightly, continuously thanking Jessica and Matthew for bringing her niece back. In the following days, Jessica and Matthew continued to visit Jennifer. She needed time to overcome the trauma of her past and gradually learn to trust others. They witnessed her transformation, slowly but surely, from a frightened child who kept her distance to a girl who could smile and play. Jennifer began participating in activities with other children at the care center, and gradually, the smiles returned to her innocent face. Jessica and Matthew didn't stop at helping Jennifer. They decided to further investigate the man who had kept her captive. The information they gathered led them to a criminal organization specializing in kidnapping and trafficking children. They knew they couldn't stop at rescuing Jennifer. They needed to do more to prevent similar tragedies from happening to other children. Sleepless nights, secret meetings, and dangerous infiltrations all were part of the mission they took upon themselves. Matthew and Jessica faced countless difficulties, challenges, and even life-threatening situations. Once, Matthew was almost attacked by someone in the organization while he was trying to gather evidence. Jessica arrived just in time to save him, but they both knew that what they were doing was extremely dangerous. Nevertheless, they did not give up. With support from their colleagues and authorities, they gradually gathered enough evidence to dismantle the criminal organization. A major operation was planned, involving multiple police units and child protection agencies. The raid took place on a stormy night, catching the members off guard. Jessica and Matthew, along with their team, rescued dozens of children held captive and arrested all those involved. After the operation, Jessica and Matthew returned, both physically and emotionally wounded. But when they saw the children reunited with their families, saw Jennifer holding her aunt's hand, they felt that all their sacrifices were worth it. They understood that justice wasn't just about arresting criminals, it was about bringing hope, protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. The encounter with Jennifer changed their lives forever. Jessica and Matthew realized that they were not just law enforcers but also protectors, bringing hope to lives that had been broken. They were determined to continue their journey, not just for Jennifer, but for all the other children who needed them. After rescuing Jennifer and reuniting her with her family, Jessica's life underwent profound changes. Jessica realized she needed to spend more time with her own family. Her mother, Helen, was elderly and needed special care. Before, due to her busy work schedule, Jessica often didn't have enough time to be with her mother. After the incident with Jennifer, she decided to reduce her workload to better take care of her mother. Every morning, Jessica woke up early to prepare breakfast for her mother. The two of them would sit at the table, talking about stories from the past, Jessica's childhood, and the good things in life. Helen was very proud of her daughter and always encouraged Jessica during difficult times. Their relationship grew closer and stronger. Jessica also took time to care for herself and find balance in her life. She started attending yoga and meditation classes to relieve stress after long working days. Jessica understood that to continue her work effectively, she needed to keep her mind and body healthy. These classes not only helped her relax but also find peace in her soul. Jessica did not quit her job as a police officer, but she chose to approach her work differently. Instead of just focusing on patrolling and arresting criminals, she began participating in community education programs, especially on child protection and abuse prevention. She visited schools, held talks with students and parents, and shared her experiences, how to protect children from the risks of abuse and kidnapping. Jessica wanted to ensure that no more children would have to endure what Jennifer had gone through. Matthew also experienced many changes after rescuing Jennifer. He realized that being a police officer was not just about enforcing the law, it was also about the responsibility to the community. After the incident, Matthew felt he needed to do more to protect children and the vulnerable in society. He decided to join a non-profit organization specializing in helping abused and abandoned children. Matthew began volunteering at children's shelters. He often visited, played with the children, listened to their stories, and helped them overcome their past traumas. For Matthew, seeing the smiles on the children's faces was the greatest happiness. He felt that he wasn't just a police officer but also a protector, a friend to children who needed help. Besides that, Matthew continued his investigative work. He became a key member of the team investigating cases related to missing and abused children. With his experience and determination, Matthew helped solve many cases and rescued children from dangerous situations. He wasn't afraid to face dangers because he knew that each time he saved a child, he brought hope and a new life to a family. After the incident with Jennifer, the bond between Jessica and Matthew grew stronger. They had faced dangerous moments together, tense situations, and the joy of seeing Jennifer safe. All those experiences created an unbreakable bond between them. Jessica and Matthew often met outside of work. They took walks together, participated in community activities, and sometimes just sat together for coffee and shared their lives. They understood that to continue this difficult work, they needed each other's support, not just professionally but also emotionally. They were each other's biggest source of encouragement during tough times. Jessica and Matthew also participated in training and mentoring programs for young police officers. They shared their experiences, the lessons they had learned through difficult cases, to help newcomers do their job well. They wanted to ensure that young officers would have the skills and courage to protect the community, especially vulnerable children. Time passed, and Jennifer grew up in her aunt's loving care and the community's support. She never forgot Jessica and Matthew, the two heroes who saved her from darkness. Every year, on the anniversary of her rescue, Jennifer sent a handwritten letter to the police station, thanking them for giving her a new life. Those letters became a source of motivation for Jessica and Matthew during their times of fatigue and discouragement. Jennifer returned to school and gradually integrated with her peers. She was very intelligent and always tried her best to catch up with her friends. Aunt Margaret was always by her side, supporting and encouraging Jennifer in all her activities. Margaret also attended parent meetings and was always proud to see Jennifer making progress. Jennifer also participated in extracurricular activities, especially art programs like painting and music. She found joy in creating and expressing herself through colorful drawings. The wounds of the past gradually healed as Jennifer was free to live and pursue the things she loved. The story of Jennifer and her rescue journey spread beyond their small community, becoming an inspiration to many others. The media reported on Jessica and Matthew's achievement, and many programs were established to support abused and abandoned children. They didn't seek fame, but they knew that what they did mattered and had made a difference. Jessica and Matthew continued their work, but now, they were no longer just ordinary patrol officers. They had become symbols of resilience, courage, and humanity. They continued to fight, continued to protect the vulnerable, and continued to bring hope to lives that needed them. And Jennifer, the little girl who once silently followed them, had now grown into a strong, confident young woman, ready to face the future, believing that there would always be people willing to protect and love her.